Hey, how's it going? I'm Andy. These are my rants and thoughts for the day, at least for today, being Friday the 27th, June 27th. It's about 9:35 in the morning. It's a beautiful day today out here in northern Idaho. It's about 75. Today's topic is going to be about indoctrination, the levels of indoctrination that society has gone through, and the stuff that I've sort of witnessed, at least in my time period. I'm in my 40s, and stuff that I've witnessed, and I'm sure some of you guys can relate to some of the stuff I'm saying here, but I don't have a lot of friends, and I'm comfortable with it. Some of you may or may not be comfortable with that, but you might relate to me saying that you don't have a lot of friends. And you might say that there's a lot of phony people out there, and there are. And they're just a victim of indoctrination themselves, people like that. It was about 10 years ago I got really black-pilled towards the idea of friends. Is because it seemed like people only want to be your friend if you have something to offer them or something they can gain from you. That real friendships aren't really a thing anymore. It's all about status and who's cool and who do you want to hang out with. And I just don't care about that shit, and I haven't in about 10 years. I've been totally black-pilled towards friendships, towards relationships. When I met my lady, I was severely depressed and lonely. I was in my late 30s. Or mid 30s, I guess. We've been together almost 10 years now. We have a 6-year-old daughter, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. We have a great relationship, and I work at keeping our relationship happy. But I consider myself extremely fortunate. I know a ton of people that aren't in relationships, that are single, even my age, that don't have any kids, no hopes of a future or family. I see that a lot on here on YouTube too. And it makes me really sad and depressed for the human race, because I feel like so many people have fallen victim to propaganda and indoctrination on so many different levels. Just about everything out there, every little movement, every little group you can think of is a psyop of some sort. You know, even the people, the leaders that you find in society. Let's take Rosa Parks. She was a psyop. She was a paid actress. You can look this up too. Go to the CIA website, look up Rosa Parks, and you'll see that she wasn't even the one that was really the protester. It was a young kid, a 15-year-old girl. She, however, was older, like in her 20s, and they paid her. She bought a nice car with that money. Yeah, you guys look into that. The more you understand these things, the more you're going to grasp the reality that you're in now. Like, let's take another person. Let's take Martin Luther King, okay? Did you know that he had wild sex orgies, cheated on his wife multiple times, drank alcohol, abused women? Did you guys know that? I do. I've known that for quite some years. There's a lot of things that, once you start learning the truth about, you understand that you've been indoctrinated. Pretty much take all of the history you've ever been taught about what you think the planet is really, what's going on in the world. Just wash it away. None of it's true. There's some level of indoctrination and propaganda to each one of those stories. Each way you take any historical story you want, and I can tell you that there's probably a lie in there somewhere, or it's been edited or changed or altered, plagiarized, you name it. It's not just the winners of wars that write history. It's the people that write the history books, the people that own the printing presses. That's really who writes the history books. And every year, people are reading less and less books, and they're stuck looking at this black mirror device here for their source of entertainment. And it's leading us down a dark path. And my theory is that the phones were introduced as a manipulation tool from day one. Even the internet itself. Even apps like Facebook, the reason why they did so well, they're being promoted everywhere, why everybody thought they had to get onto it. It's all psyop. Everything's been a psyop to get you to move society as a herd into the direction they want it to go into. There is an end game for these people, and once you see the manipulation and the psyops, you see the end game, and you understand the process. As David Icke said. I'm really proud for the younger generation. I know that a lot of the Generation Alphas are not signing up for the military, not really participating in the workforce, and by all means, I'm proud of you guys. I seen this a long time ago. I've been self-employed artist for 19 years now, and I've felt this way. The reason I got into this business to do this was because I wanted to be outside of the matrix as much as possible. But at the end of the day, there's no escape unless you literally ditch all of your technology, delete all your social media, quit going to work, and just go live off in the woods, which you ain't gonna do that. They've programmed our society over the last 100 and something years to live in this paradigm. It's been a lot of work in the making to get us where we're at today. If you start looking at technology in the late 1800s, we had electric cable cars, electric scooters, we had electric cars, we had all that already. But something happened, a paradigm shift happened, and we shifted to oil. And now they want another paradigm shift to shift us back to electric. I don't know why. We ditched the battery because it was way less efficient than gas. And I think that pretty much holds true today. But either way, people have been indoctrinated about the electric car thing. It is no more efficient or any better for the environment than a gas-powered car. They're about the same. It's the only way you get any kind of benefit from electric cars if you drive it for 30 years, maintain it. That's not going to happen. Lithium batteries don't last that long. And then you've got other factors that go into it. But anyways, we won't talk about electric cars and my issue with that. But let's talk about people's attitude towards certain things and propaganda and how it's affected them. And like I said, not having a lot of friends is my most peaceful time is sitting out here in the shed and just hanging out and just enjoying my peace and quiet before my kid wakes up, which is probably going to happen any minute now. As soon as that happens, my excitement level is going to have to go up to here. But let's take a lot of other things that we've been told that are lies. Okay, one of the big ones that I have come to terms with is diet, nutrition, exercise. We've been lied to from day one about that. We're just kind of guessing at things when it comes to the human biology. When you look at studies and like you really look at the long term of it, like for example, in the 70s and 80s, weightlifters, steroids weren't even illegal yet. They were promoted, and now we understand the damage of long-term steroid use. The average lifespan of a bodybuilder like that is like 45. You're healthier being obese, just to let you know. That it's the propaganda, the manipulation tool that people have used. What fitness actually is, being fit, what it actually means to be fit. A bodybuilder that takes steroids is going to tell you he's fit, but the reality is he probably couldn't run a mile, and if they could, it wouldn't be anything less than 10 minutes. It'd be over 10 minutes. Your heart does not know the difference between 300 pounds of muscle and 300 pounds of fat. To your heart, it's all the same. You still have to pump the blood around somehow, okay? And if you're not maintaining on the cardio on that aspect, you're not going to maintain. But let's talk more about the propaganda towards diet and exercise. We were in the 70s and 80s, it was all about steroid use, and now we've got these fad diets that catch on. And when you really just think about the history of man and evolution, and how we lived as a caveman for the longest, hunters and gatherers for the longest period of time on Earth, it makes sense to go carnivore keto. That makes the most logical sense to me. But yet, anything keto in the store that you look at is going to be some bullshit marketed keto bread. There's no such thing. You were not designed to eat grains. In the 90s, they came out with this thing called the food pyramid. You remember, it was like 9 to 11 servings of bread a day with 1 serving of meat a day. See, they know that's not healthy. They know that. They've known all this shit for a while. Why do you think the FDA is the same organization? Because they're working in tandem. Food and Drug Administration. Have you guys seen a pattern here? Like I've been on this for years. Like they want you sick, and it starts with your diet. And if you walk through the grocery store, at any grocery store, 90% of that is garbage that you do not want to touch. That's just the reality of it. If it goes bad within a week, you probably want to eat that. Everything else that's in a box, has a package name, has more than 5 ingredients, you don't want to touch it. It's just as simple as that. What they claim even as healthy foods, healthy snack foods, all garbage. Freaking garbage. Just start reading some of the preservatives they put in even any of these little snacks and stuff. It's enough to make your head spin. And then and that's just one aspect of our life. Diet, nutrition, exercise. They've completely lied to us for years about it. Let's take another one. Your history, like I said. Just wash it out of your brain. Everything you think you know about history, it's wrong. Let's take even politics. You guys think that there's this left and right divide. A lot of you guys do. It's not. It's a facade. It doesn't exist. It's these issues that they keep going back and forth on, namely abortion. I'm going to bring up because this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It's sat in court for how many years? Finally, they ruled on it that it has to go to the states after how many years? They kept it in limbo for how many years? That was for a reason, okay? That was for a reason. It was to keep us fighting about something that, not that it's not a real issue, and you might have your own opinion on it, why it might be right or wrong, and I'm not here to debate that either. But the point is, it kept us fighting, and bringing it back to the states only inflamed the left, which is what they wanted in the first place. Okay, all these riots that are going on, you think they happen organically from grassroots movements? No, they're organized and paid for by the same people that are against them. The same elite, they're the ones that put the pallets of bricks out there. They pay for that to happen. You got to think about this. During the BLM riots, during COVID, they burned down so many buildings. Now, what happens to the value of these commercial buildings? Right? Well, they drop to nothing, and then they can rebuild in their own, what they want to build over the top of it. So you literally buy a piece of land in maybe a downtown area for pennies on the dollar. This was a ginormous wealth transfer. And when you start to understand cause and effect, you can start to see the pattern. And again, if you know the end result, you know the process. If you understand what they want, what their goals are, you can see the psyop behind it. 9/11 happened, and I was actually in prison when that happened. I did 6.5 years in California from 2000 to 2006. I got out when I was almost 27. So when I was in prison, immediately it was like the only thing that we only had like 3 to 5 channels at best in prison, because it was back then, and we just had there was no cable or nothing, and you had your little TV in your cell. Every channel on there was just showing a different angle of the plane hitting the building from different angles, and it just immediately I felt like it was just being crammed down our throats. And I can only imagine at the time, if I was in high school, what that would have been like, to have to be forced to watch it in class. I remember in elementary school when the space shuttle blew up, and it was like 5 or 7 scientists, a female teacher died. They all died in this explosion. I remember that explosion. The teacher, we never watched back then. We didn't watch movies in class, okay? But that one day she brought in the TV forced us to watch that horrible. It traumatized me. Now I know they do the imprint. It's called imprinting. Okay, this is also part of the manipulation. Right now, if I even mention 9/11, right now in your brain, you can literally almost see the video of the airplane hitting the building, probably from 15 different angles too. You can probably see from the underneath view, it's like imprinted on your brain. What happened? We got attacked, right? So what did we do immediately afterwards? We passed laws, Homeland Security laws. Now we can define anybody as a terrorist, hold them indefinitely, just straight violate all their rights, right? Well, some of you guys may or may not know this, but the January 6ers were held under the Homeland Security laws. That's right. Same laws passed by a Republican were used against Republicans. Okay? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? But it makes perfect sense when you understand that the left and right facade is just that. It's a facade. And they're both working in tandem. And when you see the big picture, you can't unsee it. It's like you become so non-political, apolitical, I guess you could say the word is that you just, anything that you hear from people that seems like a point of view that you've heard from the news, you just kind of loathe that point of view and that person almost. That's why I don't have a lot of friends either, back to that topic. My reasons are for that is because I feel like every time I'm talking to people, I'm talking to an automaton or just like a voice for the corporations. I had somebody in my chair the other day talking about how great it was that we bombed Iran. You know, they're 1 week away from getting a nuclear bomb. You know, I remember hearing that in the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, the 2010s. We've been holding that one on reserve to use as an excuse since I can remember. Some of you guys can remember, and a lot of you guys don't have memory. And I think a lot of that has to do with these Black Mirror devices, why our memories are so bad. You see, if you're bombarded with news and facts every day, you don't have any time to absorb a lot of it, right? You weren't really ever meant to take in that much information on a daily basis. We're meant to live pretty simple lives. And so when you're glued to your phone, especially with short form content like TikTok, you are absorbing more worldly events than you would normally experience, our boomer parents would experience in a month. Okay? When it comes to the news, the newspapers and stuff like that. We're just well more informed than any other generation before us. And that's the problem. That's what's deteriorating our memories. Because there's so many things going on, it just crowds your memory. You don't remember the big events. You don't remember certain things about those events. I remember in 9/11, the terror alert level. Some of you guys remember that, some of you don't. Or there was like an orange level, a blue level, a green level. There was different levels. Today there's more terrorists in the country than the next day. Oh my God. Like it was just all fear-based nonsense, okay? During COVID, in the news, it was the exact same thing. There was a COVID threat levels every day, and it was the same color coding 5-tier system they were using. Stupid. That's why, like, so many things during COVID stuck out as so stupid and obvious to me. The people that fell for it, I really feel like, you know, maybe you should go get go get checked out. Like, how intelligent actually are you? Can you actually think at all? Or are you literally an NPC like I was talking about? Because, like, and sadly, a lot of the boomers are the ones that fell for that propaganda during COVID. Most of the shit I got from not wearing a mask or not getting the jab was from boomers. It was from older people, the ones that are glued to their TV set still. They have to watch their Fox News or their CNN News every day. And it's so obvious. And even these Black Mirror devices, it becomes so obvious that they're using these tools to manipulate us still to this day. It just should just be, to me, it just seems so fucking obvious. And I don't understand why people can't see it. Is it really that we're really that dumb as a society? I think maybe we are. You know, I think maybe we are, because I just sit back and just kind of have this look of like, every day I hear something from somebody that just, or even see it on a Facebook post, and I'm just like disgusted with society. And this is why I don't have a lot of friends, because people either want to just use you for something they could gain from you, or small talk is ridiculously pointless and boring, or the small talk that you offer is not even yours to begin with. It's someone else's opinion. I'm gonna leave on that note. So if you guys feel that any kind of value to this video, you feel that, you know, you can relate to things I'm saying, leave a comment. Feel free to subscribe. Have a great Friday the 27th of June.